Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
And how are you all this evening?
Very happy to be back.
Okay. I hope that you all are well. Please bear with me a little because my allergies are not cooperating today. And how was your week break?
Hmm. It was nice. It was good. Wasn't a very long break because we continued to work, but it was nice to be able to get to work on some things continuously. So it was nice for me.
Okay. I hope that you were
My break
able to get
today.
all the things that you wanted done.
Hmm.
Lisa keeps getting bumped off. Okay.
Lisa.
Lisa, are you there?
Yes, I'm here just finally getting because I couldn't find the link.
Yeah, Google moving some things around.
Yeah,
Hmm.
but then you'll probably need to put the link in the chat for people so they could use that link until they kind of figure it out.
Yeah, I will do that. All right, just a minute.
So Lisa, how was your 1 week layoff?
It was good. I think it was like years gone by. It's like, oh my God, no befitment, no life, no nothing. But it was like, I think it's a combination of just like everyday thing at work and whatever. It just was happy to just have the little break.
Yes.
So, and then you realize then it's okay. You do need a break sometimes, and it's not. No, you shouldn't feel bad about wanting that break or needing that break. So it was good. How was your time off?
My time off. I already didn't have time off. So, but it was good to be able to work on projects that were not day-to-day projects.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I can
also,
understand.
but I really didn't have time off.
Yeah,
Who's
well,
G? Is this Gillis?
Yes, it is.
How was your layoff? Hmm.
My layoff was good. I got time to go and check on my health, and all is well.
Very good. Very good. Anastasia, are you there? Probably not near her phone.
We're not close to her phone. She probably isn't close to her phone.
But it's ironic that tonight the topic is stress. And
Yes, it really is.
ah,
Understanding stress as a signal. But even before we understand stress as a signal, um, I wanted to read something from a post we did last week. And a lot of times, I'm not sure if we pay attention to this, but it is really something that you really should pay attention to because this demonstrates how feelings turn into patterns which also triggers stress. And when I read the post, you would understand why. So it starts. Do you know that the initial physical rush of an emotion lasts about 60 to 90 seconds as the chemical surge, which is adrenaline, passes through your bloodstream? And think about it, 60 to 90 seconds. That's it. Persistence any longer only occurs because the mind ruminates on a feeling, re triggering the same 90-second cycle over and over through thoughts and stories. A 90-second emotional reaction sustained for hours or days becomes a mood. If it lasts for weeks or months, it becomes a temperament. And over years, it becomes a personality trait. So, even within this, in a lot of different instances, this is also where stress emanates from because you are, it's like a rerun, a constant rerun in your mind. And even within this, are you able to identify when this happens to you? Is it something that you get trapped within?
Hmm.
Yes to both. You realize it, but you're realizing that, at least for me, I realize that I get trapped in it. But I think now is because you realize it and because you have a deeper understanding and awareness, is trying to work yourself out of not having that replay, repeat. It's like your mind on repeat and replay constantly. And then, because that's when, you say, oh, you talk to yourself and it's like you have this imaginary conversation with this person, but it's just you repeating, and then from one thing you say, well, okay, well, they said such and such and such. And in your head, you're like, well, I tell them such and such and such. And then it's just like a continuous cycle of emotion, stress, and you get fed up and you get frustrated and you get angry. And it's all in your head because you're not even actually speaking to someone, you're just speaking to yourself and having conversations with yourself, aggravating yourself for something that probably never even happened or is never even going to happen. But this is just you thinking that, this is what is happening or this is how it's going to play out. So I know I'm guilty of that. And it's like, well, if it was me, I would do it this way and why and how. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but you do realize that, at least for me, that your mind is just on replay, and then it's just different emotions that you're triggering within yourself because your mind is on replay and
Mm-hmm.
because you're trying to fix the problem and come up with a solution in the for the problem in your own head,
Mm-hmm. And even
which sometimes is not even a problem.
yes, and even when you just said, in terms of if it was me, I would do it this way, which brings me to today's post, which speaks about the gap between expectation and reality is where your anxiety lives. We paint a picture in our minds of how things should go and how people should be. Expectation is only thought that belongs to you. Don't be anxious, and you might just hear the peace in how it is. Because again, when we do the ruminating and the replay and the replay and the replay, it is really based on how we think things should go.
True.
And then we trap ourselves in that cycle. You trap yourself in that pattern. It then becomes a mood. It then becomes a temperament. And then it becomes part of you. And you don't really pay attention to how these day to day simple things really building your world. And now you look around yourself and you might identify certain things and you're wondering, well, how did I get here? But you didn't identify the small steps that work towards you getting to this point. And Nicola, are you there?
Yes, I am.
In terms of the cycle psychological perspective, how can we practice, or first, how can we get ourselves out of this continuous perpetual loop?
The first thing, as I would always say, is becoming self aware. Once you do that and you start to practice being in the moment and being mindful, you would realize that the thoughts would automatically come. So, like for example, I just rush to do everything. So you're rushing to bed, you're rushing to cream your skin, you rush. You all hearing me properly?
Yes, but we're hearing some
Okay,
background noise as well.
you all hearing better now?
Still hearing background noise.
I am not sure why. Right, but what I think it's because somebody's mic was right.
Mm-mm.
So once you become self-aware and you become mindful in the moment, practice being mindful in the moment, you would naturally stop yourself. So, as example, I was saying, you'll rush to cream your skin, and the other day I was like, why am I rushing? So you start to slow down. And it will be the same thing. When it is you realize that you're going into this certain emotional response because of this trigger, you stop yourself. So it's about you, first of all, deciding that, okay, this is something that I want to change and practicing that sense of being in the present moment. That is what would take you out of the loop because then you're paying attention to yourself. And I'm not saying to over focus on yourself and don't enjoy anything. But because you're being mindful, you would naturally stop and come out of the loop.
But even in that instance where you stop and you, okay, identify this is what I am doing, what can I do to create a new pattern?
So, but what Befitment teaches is it will be different for everyone because no two individuals are the same. So
Mm-hmm.
that is where within the split seconds of the moment, you ask yourself a question. So whatever the question, whatever the answer comes back as, you practice that. So, for example, some people might need to change environment. Once you change environment, and you could, it tends to change your thought patterns because your focus will automatically go somewhere else, right? There's also where you practice the grounding technique, where you utilize your senses and you pay attention to the things you could see, the things you could feel, the things you could hear around you, the things you could taste, and the things you could smell. If you can't smell and taste anything, imagine your favorite things to taste and smell, right? You also focus on your breathing, so you get into that where you focus on your breathing and it gets you centered and then you proceed from there.
Okay.
But as Lisa was saying as well, you get into the loop and then you sit and you think, but I don't have control over these things. So then is also identifying what you can and can't control. And most times when you get into this space and understand that the only thing I can really control is my response to this. And the longer I take sitting in this unwanted space is the longer it takes me from being in the space of something that I want. So the longer I stay angry or the longer I stay sad, it's just keeping me back from the life or whatever it is I truly want to experience. And when you get to that sense of reason, it's like, what is the point? And I'm not saying that things will not come up. They would. But then again, it's practicing mindfulness and identifying that, okay, let me get back to that space and neutrality.
Yeah. And even you see, life presents these opportunities for us to practice, for us to practice. And within these opportunities, what are you practicing? Are you practicing the same old thing? Or are you identifying, listen, I no longer want to create this, so let me practice something new. In that moment, are you present or are you just part of the chaos?
I wanted to say something. I read something. I think I read something a while ago where, especially like if you're at work or whatever and you're like, you telling somebody, I run into the bathroom right now, coming back. So everything that you do, like Nicola was saying, subconsciously, even like your spoken word, I run in the bathroom, I'm coming back now. Give me 5 minutes. Give me 5 seconds. I'll be back in 5 seconds. So we kind of just program ourselves to always be like, going really fast. And, you know, like what they were saying to is like, stop saying those kind of things. I rush into the bathroom, you know? So start with that because I caught myself as like, I rush into the bathroom. So you're running now and I got to come back really fast because I got to do this, I got to do that. Just kind of slow it down in itself.
Mhm.
And like Nicola was saying, you have to kind of be really self conscious and be really, become really self aware of these little things that you do subconsciously, unconsciously. And I think for me, it's that with that because even when I go through all of this, well, how and who and if I and you have to kind of take a step back, and it's not easy, but be really mindful and really put the effort into trying to make the change or working on the change. It's not going to happen overnight, but when you see it and you recognize it and then you're like, nah, let me just take a step back and not think like that and know that things have worked out before and it's going to work out before and this is not within your control. How people think, what they do, you have no control over that. You only have control over what you do and what you think. Because even when, like in my head, I'm like, well, my boss is this and she's home and she don't even know. I'm,
No.
I'm in a totally different space
Hmm.
and my blood pressure going up and she probably home enjoying dinner with her family.
Yes. Yes.
In the wee hours of the morning, I'm having these conversations and she probably song asleep.
Yes. She
So,
probably.
yeah, when you really realize like you putting so much stress on yourself, but like you said, it has become a habit. So now you have to try to break the habit, break the cycle. And it's not easy, but then you just have to really like do a lot of self-talk.
Hmm.
And because you know that you just stressing yourself out and they can't even hear you, they don't even know that you saying these things or you feel this way, then it's like, well, I'm making a fool of myself, you know? She don't even know.
She does not even know. Which also brings me back to the the confirmation that your opinion belongs to who? Only you. Nobody else is aware of your opinion. Even if you try to get somebody to understand your opinion, to be in agreement with your opinion belongs to you. Your opinion is only important to you, nobody else. Really sit with it and think about it because, and I tell you, within these simple, simple things, this is how we are really, really stressing out ourselves intentionally and unintentionally because it is again you're caught in a loop for so long you're not even aware that you're in a loop and your mind just because I was having a conversation with my dad recently about rest and resting. And we were discussing sometimes, yeah, you might be lying down watching TV, but is your mind at rest? Or is your mind still racing? So even while whatever you're doing, even if you're taking out weeds, people say, you know, gardening is relaxing, but even while you're gardening, is your mind at rest? Or is your mind still racing? Even when you're asleep, sometimes you go to sleep tired, you get up tired. Is your mind at rest? Was your mind really at rest? Or was it still racing, 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 racing? So yes, Katrin, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
What I was wondering though, why are some days, some days you could, for me, you could bounce a little better than other days. Even though you know the techniques, you have the knowledge, you have the wisdom, some days seem, well, of course, every day is different, but some days it's almost as though you could overcome it or override it a little faster
Mm-hmm.
than other days.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to work almost twice as hard or four times as hard just to even get to where you're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And while I recognize that no 2 days are the same, sometimes it's a little concerning for me because, and today was one of those days, and it was, I was aware that I was not where I wanted to be. And then I saw the post about expectations and anxiety. And I think I commented, yes, for sure, that is my shortcoming today. And so, why does it take longer sometimes? And it may be the same issue that yesterday you were able to breathe it away, stop, think, bring yourself to the present. And for some reason, on another day, just the same ruminating, almost seething. And while you're doing that, you're still aware that, listen, you are in a spot where you shouldn't be. And you have the techniques and the tools to take yourself out of the spot. So why are you struggling
Mm-hmm.
in this spot? Yes, are you hungry? Do you need some water?
Yes.
Need a hug?
Remember, it took us how many years to get to here? Remember where we are currently, and even with your mind and the ruminating and the loop, the constant loop, it took you how long to get here? Years. It took us years to get here. And even within it, yes, you may understand, okay, this is somewhere that I do not want to be currently, but right now, this is where I am. Identify where you are. This is where I am. So even in that moment, stop. Take a breath, take a breath, take a breath. This is also the opportunity where, remember, we were told in the sessions during the week, you pull out your list of your 12 things, you reread it. Focus on something else. Place your focus elsewhere. Because remember, we are now currently in the space of practicing. And also, because of practice, remember, you want to practice what you want to build. You don't want to continue practicing things you do not want to build. You don't want it to bloom. You don't want it to blossom anymore. Because, especially, you're recognizing now, you're understanding why you're getting the results you have been getting for the past how much ever years. Because of what you have been practicing on a day to day basis. So, even within that, and you really had to ask yourself the question, is this rumination worth the no results that I am getting? Am I going to continue doing this over and over and over and get the same no results over and over and over? Or am I really going to start to practice focus? Am I really going to start to put down these distractions? Or am I going to continue entertaining these distractions while it is costing me time? Because we are always being allocated more time because we are not focused. And then it is also costing you whatever is the thing that you want to receive. It, of course, it's taking way longer. So the joy, the experience, the happiness, the everything that would come with it. Does it really, is it really worth it when you really think about it in the long run? It is not. And sometimes while you're in a space, you just have to identify and accept, okay, this is where I am currently. This is not where I want to be. And remember, even within it, you're asking yourself, what am I feeling? What you feeling? What am I really feeling? Because over the past few days, I was feeling very, a bit more irritated than usual. And I had to stop myself down yesterday in the kitchen and ask myself, Adana, what are you feeling? And you wasn't it what you couldn't identify one thing. It was just like a ball of, I don't know. And then I went on the beach. So sometimes you really have to use the resources, use the tools, use whatever is required for you to get yourself out of this space. So even if you in a space where you like to garden, while you're gardening, if you're listening, you're ensuring that your mind is present and focused. So while you're gardening, if you're listening to a podcast, you're listening to some music, you're listening to something to keep your mind there in the present space and ensure that your mind does not revert back to the loop, loop, loop. Because remember, you do not want to receive the fruit of that loop next week, next month, in 3 months. Because remember, that loop only bearing the same fruit, nothingness. Yes, I think Nicole, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
Yes, before the second point, this was from before. One thing I wanted to say as well is to understand that stress is actually a response. So it's your body's way of responding. So the same way you could respond by having a panic attack is the same way you could respond by being calm. So it's all about what you train and how you train yourself as well, because it's how you would respond to a situation. And then I also wanted to add to Catherine's point is that sometimes it's okay to have the memory, but don't attach the feeling to it. So even if it is you go back to something that happened or something you enjoyed in 2005, it's okay to think about it. You enjoy the experience, because what we tend to do is tend to think that, oh, well, I'm not supposed to think about this again, but it's part of the experience. So the memory is still there, lodged within you. So it would pop back up, but you don't put back the feeling as if, oh, I'm still back there and this happened then. And why my mommy tell me this and why my father tell me this and you see nobody don't like me, and then you find yourself going in the loop. This was the experience because it's part of your journey. That was the experience, and then you keep it moving back to whatever day you experience it.
Yes,
When
because
I was
mhm.
when Alana was speaking, I could relate. It was that kind. It wasn't so much memory or anything like that. It was like that sense of irritated, just feeling irritated. And the more you feel irritated, you get a little bit more irritated because you know you shouldn't know how to deal with the irritation. And it was that kind of unsettled day, even though I started a little bit of meditation. And I didn't go for my walk this morning for some reason. Oh, my ankle was hurting me. So I looked down at the ankle and I tell it tomorrow going walking. So doesn't matter to me how the 3 days come. I am committed to 3 days. But it was that sense of, just, and then again, when I saw the post, I said, well, the expectation, probably expecting, and it's this. And so
Yeah.
that is where anxiety is. I think it only really settled itself when I went to the hairdresser. Yes.
Mhm. Sometimes within the everything that happens, sometimes you just need to stop. Just stop, stop, stop. Physically, mentally, everything. Just stop. And after you stop, you take a breath. You could ask, okay, what am I feeling? All right, I might be feeling irritation right now. I might be feeling irritated today. But you will take a nap, you'll get up tomorrow, and you would be in a different space. And even within it, you really need to identify also the difference between destructive stress and productive stress. So, as it relates to destructive stress, this occurs when intense, prolonged pressure overwhelms the body's coping mechanisms, leading to severe and mental deterioration. Because this is where things tend to head. And let me let you all, just be aware of something. It is something that I have been observing. In terms of persons who are some close to you, but some the close in proximity, but you are aware of what they are currently experiencing. And I know that I think it was the first year when we did these sessions, and Akinde was facilitating, and he was talking about in terms of how things affect your body. And you think that you do something today, or you tell off your spouse or whatever, and you think that you get through. And then in some months to come or some years to come, you end up by the doctor, and there is a spot on your body, and you recognize is something that you really don't want to deal with. And I have been just observing persons and observing, life in general, and you're recognizing so much that, let me tell you, the stress, the choices you make today, it is going to affect you in the long run. You think that the choices that you're making not affecting you in the long run, and it really is affecting you in the long run, because even just observing persons who have, you live and you hold on to a lot of things, and even like throughout your life and stuff, and you were angry with a lot of things, and you're recognizing that these persons are really receiving the effects of holding on to those things for so long. Because again, remember, you're doing it day to day, you're not understanding the effects of it. But now, just observing life and observing other individuals, you're recognizing that these things are definitely landing on your body. You think right now that it's not landing on your body. But just for me, like observing life in general lately, and observing, persons close to me and then persons I'm in close proximity, you are seeing where they are dealing. They have a lot of health issues because of it. And every day that you get up is an opportunity to really practice letting go, practice putting down, practice pausing, practice taking a breath. Because you might think that nothing is happening, but it is landing somewhere. You think that holding on to whatever, and I don't want to talk to this person, or you're angry for whatever reason, I am telling you, I am seeing persons right now who have lived like that for a very long time. And the persons who are very quick to be angry, I am seeing right now persons who lived like that for a very long time. They are now, and it is more than one, it is more than two. They are now in the hospital with various complications. Various complications. So when you think that, it's not landing anywhere, it is landing somewhere. Yes, Katrin, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
I was also going to say in support that my short story, there was a time not too long ago, after my mom passed, is when it started to, to manifest itself on my skin. And I really didn't realize how all of this, I thought it was stress, I thought it was this, and over the years it would come, it would go. But the last critical episode was, it was so bad that my skin was just flaking off. Wherever you could tell where I sat, and you could tell where I stood, and you could tell if I had passed. And the moment for me came when I was at the balance center, and there was a lovely spot out in the backyard with the yellow bell tree. But for some reason, under that tree was always like 35. What is 35 in foreign terms? It was always very cool under that tree. Very, very cool. The sun could be blazing. You just find a seat. And I went out there to sit down. And when I looked around me, a line of ants had started to form because my skin was flaking off, and they just told each other, look, food has arrived. And I was just, I don't think I ever sat under that tree ever again. Not to mention one or two snails like it more than me. But to realize just how your whole body could just be just going away, you literally flaking away just because internally things are not how they're supposed to be. And they had been that way for such a long, 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 long time. Not to mention, I had also seen my older sister just whittle away over the course of what, 4 years, 4 years, to nothing. There was nothing in that casket if she had so gone. So it really is important for me to focus on what is stressing me out. Like today, I was saying, what am I feeling? What am I feeling? And the answer was coming out. Two things were coming out. I was feeling irritation, and I was feeling as though I was being asked to not be my true self. Try to keep peace. And I had to go back to the conversations and the classes to remember your true self is not concerned with keeping peace. Your true self is concerned with being true self. And so if you have to say something, you say something. If you have to be quiet, you be quiet. It's not about who you don't want to get vexed with or who you want to like you, who don't like you, who doesn't like you. It's not about that. So I'm sharing my short story just to say stress could really, really put you in a place that you don't want. My hands have returned. Thank God the scaling has gone, the skin has returned. But that puts me, imagine the ants want to eat you and you're not even dead yet. This was much, much, much.
Yes, 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 yes. And again, when you have the opportunity, again, we tend to always run to practice these things as soon as we end up by the doctor or as soon as you see your body being affected. And then sometimes when it gets to that point, sometimes it is too late. So why not just practice the things now? Even the stressful circumstances, situations is your opportunity to put the things that you have been learning into practice instead of repeating whatever the loop is that you have been repeating for the past how much ever years. Because and again, sometimes even with me, when you're looking out at what is happening to certain individuals, and part of you feels sorry for them, and then at the same time part of you recognizing this is the result of the actions of the individuals, day after day, month after month, year after year, and they all ended up in the same place, in the hospital. They are all currently in the same place, and even for some of them, they are too weak to even be operated on, because that is the imagine your body going through that tug and war, tug and war, tug and war, tug and war for years. So much so that your muscles so weak, your heart muscles so weak that it can't even be operated on. So you really have to be mindful, as Nicola was discussing earlier. You really, really have to be mindful because you think that these actions are not landing anywhere, and they are landing somewhere. They are landing somewhere. So, again, you have to be able to identify the difference between destructive stress, which with prolonged pressure overwhelms the body's coping mechanisms, leading to severe physical and mental deterioration, and then productive stress, which is a moderate level of tension that boosts focus, motivation, and performance, acting as a catalyst for action rather than a paralyzing force. So even within you, and I know Lisa was explaining in terms of you recognize, okay, this is the loop that is happening. Let me try to practice something different, focus, to ensure that you get yourself out of this space. Even for Catherine again, when it happens, you don't have to let it overwhelm you. You really have to maintain your focus within it. Or even if you say, you see, today, let me just sleep, let me just rest, and then you start again tomorrow. And then even within the stress, how do you think that stress signals unmet needs, boundaries, and opportunities? What do you think is the basis for it?
I think it is unmet needs. Because a lot of time when you stress out, you're not necessarily stressed about, well, yeah, you could stress about things that is in the past experiences. And if you're stressing about things in the future, things to come, it's still unmet needs because you think, oh, I need this, I need it, I can't get this, I didn't have that. Oh, then you remember, oh, well, when I was at this place in the past, I didn't do this. So it's definitely unmet needs.
But is it also that you are stressing because of expectations?
Yeah, you are
And
stressing because of expectation. But that was something I wanted to talk about, like with Catherine and what she was saying, like because you know better, you should be doing better, and then you put an additional stress on yourself because you're expecting because you know something. But like Adana was saying, this didn't happen overnight. So you have to learn how to give yourself grace and how to be patient with yourself. And I mean, I go through it too, where you beat yourself up. I know better, should I be? And one of the things I realized too, a lot of the times is like when you get to that point, it's like you're doing. I want to be better. I want to do better. I need to do better instead of just being and just allowing it to flow. Because when I did that, like it was a couple of days ago, and we don't even realize like the subtle ways in which we accomplish it. We look for the big, things and we glorify the big stuff, but the subtle ways. Like I was coming home from work, so they had this big dumpster. Like if they're doing construction, they have this big dumpster, and I don't have a green thumb. It's somewhere between gray and something. It's not definitely not green, but I like to plant. And most of my plants do not survive. And there was this box, like a wooden box, a wooden crate. And I went by the dumpster. I was walking by the dumpster and I lifted it. I was like, oh my gosh, it's solid wood. So the first day I saw it, I tried to get it out the dumpster. I tried to get it out the dumpster. I was like, okay, whatever. And I left it and I came home and I was thinking about this box and what I would do and how I would plant my stuff in it. And the next day I'm driving by, the box is still there. So I parked my car by the dumpster and I'm like, oh my God, I want this box. I want this box. How am I going to get this box? And I was on the phone with someone and I told them, I was like, if you see this box and what I want to do with the box. And they're like, Lisa, just, claim it like you wanted, you think. And as I turn around, there was a guy walking towards me who like does the construction and stuff. And I asked him, I was like, could you help me get this box? And he climbed up on the stuff and he took the box out for me. And I was like, you kind of like in awe, like, is that simple? But it's like when it happened, you recognize it. And then the next day, you go back to all your self doubt.
the loop.
Yeah, you go back into the loop. And, it's trying to really remember and relive that. Like it happened. And look how simple it was. Once you focus on it, it would happen. And it did happen. But we go into this, I have to work at it. I have to work at it instead of just allowing it to be. So, and that's part of the thing. Like we beat ourselves up so much thinking we have to do it instead of just being it and focus on what you want and it will come.
Yeah. Because again, and again, guys in the sessions, who does be in the sessions during the week, this is something that we discuss in terms of all you have to do is know what you want. Because even for me recently, I was up, it was about after 1 in the morning. And I was thinking about this bag that I have, a laptop bag, a leather bag, and I was like, how long I go on Amazon just to see what else they have new. So I still let me go. And I think I told this story already. The first instance where my brother-in-law wanted to buy something for my sister, and it was two bags. One of them mysteriously canceled. So when I tell him that it canceled, what you want me to do with the money? If they transfer it back to you, he said, really and truly, one of the bags was for you. And that is how I got my leather laptop bag. And so I said, let me just go back and see what new these people have. And remember, this is after 1 in the morning. It's about minutes to 2, actually. And I see they have a new version of the bag for $21.99. Now, I know that my credit card have 13 TT. The $21.99 is US. And I said, I want this bag. I said, I don't know who had a bad day, who make a mistake, because the original bag was 140 US. And I look at the both descriptions of the two, and it is the same thing. The only difference is the price. And I said, I want this bag, I want this bag, I want this bag. And then I said, I don't know, I'll go and sleep. And as I am lying down to go and sleep, I see a message on my phone. Hey, you up? And as I just responded, yes, the person called because the person can't sleep after. They can't sleep either. And they just wanted to talk. I said, listen, by chance, you have 20 US? They said yes. I sent them the link. I said, I need this. And they ordered the bag. So the bag that I spent, how much ever years ago, it was 100. And again, I did not spend the money. All I did is know that I wanted it, and I left it in my Amazon cart. And my brother-in-law having to buy something for my sister, and he was buying something for me at the same time, and I was totally unaware, and that is how I got the first bag. And it is the same thing Lisa is explaining. All you have to do is know what you want. And you know what you want with clarity and intention. Because there is no way, while I am again ruminating on the thought that I want this bag, and somebody messages me, till it was minutes to 2 in the morning, hey, you up? And I was like, yeah. And then they call. And this, and again, just as Lisa saying, you're looking at these things and you're saying, no, this could never be so simple. It is this simple. And we always tend to do it for the little things. But when it comes to the big things, do you have the same clarity, intention, and focus when it comes to the big things? And that is why it is important to be mindful, as Nicola was explaining before, of what you are keeping constantly as a loop in your thoughts. Because whatever is your loop, when you look around you, that is what is being created within your environment. When you look around your environment, ask yourself the question, what have I been building? What have I been creating for myself? What does your garden look like? What are you creating? Are you pulling out the weeds? And again, another story, went outside. Listen, these vines on the mango tree, they came back with a vengeance. They were even worse. And again, I stood under the mango tree and I looked up and I saying, oh my, because again, I don't want the tree to die. And as I stood under the mango tree, I went for the cutlass again. And then my big nephew appears, Daniel. And he says, Auntie, don't cut it. Because really, you see, when you cut it, they're sending down more shooters into the ground. I did not know. He said, you have to pull them down. I said, well, you could help me because I am not a yard person. Clearly, I don't know what to do. And then we started to pull vines. Listen, we pulled so much vines until we realized it was so much. Then he said, Auntie, we need to cut off these tree branches. That is the only way to let the vines fall because there was so much on the tree. And then I said, well, okay. He said, let me just go and tell Grandpa I'm going to do it. I said, okay. And we got a ladder, and then Dane came, my younger nephew. So all of us were there fighting up with these vines and the branches and getting it. And it was a lot. And again, it is just to show when you are not mindful, the kind of things that are growing and are restricting you and limiting your abilities, because even it have a tree right next to the mango tree that also got consumed by the vines, a sour orange tree, and that tree almost dead. So you know what areas in your life right now that currently consumed by vines and you're totally unaware. And every day it growing thicker, it growing stronger. I tell you, there were some vines, they were thick like rope. That is how thick they were. And even think about yourself, your life, day-to-day things. What do you need to focus on? What have you been ignoring? And you would recognize that avoidance increases the mental load. When you avoid and you don't put, because just as Catherine was explaining before, the soul doesn't feel bad. The soul doesn't, the soul know what needs to be said. And sometimes you're trying to avoid, you don't want to make anybody upset, you don't want to, you have a long list of I don't want to. But sometimes you need to face the music and get it done, because there could be vines killing your tree, literally killing your tree. And some, even with the tools that we give you all, so because I know now, like listening to you, you are able to identify, listen, I am in a space. Now you can identify, before you couldn't identify, which is really good. But while you're there and you identify that you're there, what is the next step after identifying that you're there? Do you frustrate yourself because you are there? Or do you accept, okay, I am here, I might be here for today, and then tomorrow, let me practice something new? Because again, you have the tools, but are you utilizing the tools? Or when you're in a stressful situation, you forget the tools, you forget the toolbox, you forget everything, and you just continue as you are, you know? And even as Catherine was explaining, she was in a space, she didn't even know what space she was in. But again, it's your opportunity to stop, take a breath, and I will even explain more to you about the breath, because starting this week, let me just bring it up so that you all can see. On Thursday, we would be discussing the purpose of breath. So, you see, all the things that you're currently experiencing, do not fear, do not worry. The fitment is here to assist you. And on Thursday, we would be discussing, and again, it is something that is overlooked, but you would recognize when you are calm, happy, stressed, whatever it is, the only thing that really changes is your breath. When you are stressed, or you're angry, your breath increases. But if you are calm, it is calm. If you are happy, it would increase a bit. So, ensure that Thursday you are there for that session, and ensure that if you have any questions, or you always had questions, ensure that you have your notepad, your pen, your paper to take some notes, because everything starts from your breath. And even when I saw the post about emotion only lasting 60 to 90 seconds. And I say to myself, listen, how emotions only lasting 60 to 90 seconds? When sometimes you're angry for hours, you're angry for days. Sometimes it have persons that are angry for the year. This person mashed my toe when I was going to school, and you're still holding this person in mind. And then as the post continue, you recognize that the mind keeps re-triggering this response. So imagine being in that loop for years, re-triggering this response because of one isolated incident. Imagine you carrying this thing with you for years. Imagine that. And as I said again, guys, I am seeing the effects of these things being carried. I am seeing multiple persons who are close to me and in close proximity in the hospital now. Some of them too weak to even be operated on because of this. So let us try. I know February is practically, this is the last Monday, I think, in February. Imagine we were just in 2025. Yes, this is the last Monday in February. From next week, Monday, we are in March. What have you been practicing? Ask yourself, look within your environment, just where you are, whatever room you're sitting in, look around you and ask yourself, what have I been practicing? What are the results of the things I have been practicing? If these results are unwanted results, what new can I practice to get the results that you would like to see? Do you want to continue getting the results of nothingness? This is your opportunity to practice something new. You have the tools in the moment. Are you utilizing it, or are you forgetting your toolbox altogether? You really, really need to start to practice. Gillis, I'm seeing that you have your mic on. Would you like to contribute?
Yes, I want to mention we all have a built-in timetable. And when the day reach, between 8 to 12 are going to do X. Between 12 to 3 are going to do X. Between 3 to 6 are going to do X. Some days we have to put away this timetable. Some days we just have to ignore it, and whatever we start, finish it, and forget the time. It will have days where there are certain things you must do, but other days, take yourself off the timetable. Put away that timetable. Just let everything roll, let everything flow. At the end of the day, you're going to be lighter.
Oh, sorry about that. Yes, sometimes you really have to put away the timetable. Because conversation with my sister, Daniel went out, it have land opposite them, doing something. I think he was trying to catch a goanna. While he tried to catch the goanna, he cut his heel, and it's a very deep cut. He have to go in the hospital. He had to get stitches. And, she was fretting about it a bit. And because recently they were sick for a really long time, and now the flu that is going around, it has you sick and down and out for a really long time. And she said she was fretting about it, and then she heard Daniel not supposed to be in school this week. And that is all that it is. Just accept it. Daniel not supposed to be in school that week, and you don't know what he is being protected from. You don't know what he is being taken away from, and he would be home and recovering. So sometimes you really never know. And you might want to, just as Catherine saying, based on the expectations, you expect it to be A, you expect it to be B. You are where you are. You are where you are supposed to be in the moment. You are where you are. And we really have to start functioning from that space and stop adding pressure to ourselves and stop frustrating ourselves and stop really it's like you working with yourself to get yourself to the hospital. We really, really have to come out of that space because that is the only place that it really leads to. It leads to the hospital. So let me let you all know what is coming up for this week, because this week, and I know especially for Thursday, it is a very, very, very exciting topic. So let me let you know what is coming up. So tonight, of course, we discuss understanding stress as a signal. And then Tuesday from 10, we have counseling and consultations. Then from 6, we would be looking at expanding your stress threshold. So we would be discussing how to handle more without collapse and burnout. Then from 7, of course, we have our Be Fit, Fuel, and Flexible Body Workout session. On Wednesday from 10, we have counseling and consultations again. Then from 6, we would be looking at harnessing stress for high achievement, where we would be discussing using stress for motivation, creativity, and performance. And on Thursday, 6 p.m., we would be looking at the purpose of breath. Breathing is regulation, resilience, and control. So this session is a really, really, going to be a really interesting session. So ensure that you all will be there. And then from 7, of course, we have our Be Fit, Fuel, and Flexible Body Workout. On Friday from 10, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 3, we have Free to Be, where we celebrate, relax, restore, and unwind. Of course, it is by appointment only. So if you are interested, feel free to reach out to us. On Saturday, we have counseling and consultations. And then from 3 p.m., we would be closed, and we have a lot more activities coming up. We have our bike ride. So Saturday the 14th of March, meeting point Macquarie Beach Car Park, and we would be meeting for 7 a.m. and we would be riding from 7:30 to 9:30. It would be a 2-hour ride. The bike rental and vibes, of course, that Befitment will be providing will be $200. This is an event that we had last year, and persons were very interested to know when it would be coming again. So it would be on Saturday, the 14th of March. And then on the 28th of March, we would have our stress-free outdoor workshop. So it is a calming day of discussion, nature, and refreshing pools designed to help you manage stress and find balance. In the background is actually the arboretum itself. So this is where it would be held at the Arboretum Shagaramas from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The cost for non-members 150, for Befitment members 135. Feel free to register now, and you could WhatsApp the word stress free to 3361809. Of course, limited spaces are available, and light refreshments will be provided. So if you are interested to join us, you can join us. Coming up this week on Wednesday, sorry, no, Thursday. No, just 1 minute. Let me just confirm. Yes, Wednesday. Sorry
Wednesday.
about that. We have our Be at Work session. So, if you are ready to empower your workforce with applied cognitive and physical conditioning to optimize workforce performance, then Be at Work is for you. The session is free. It is from 2 to 2:30 p.m. This month, topic is team building and commitment. So if it is something that you are interested again, feel free to message us and we would send you the link to join. These sessions are really short and they are to the point, and it is topics that would help you with whatever you're experiencing in the workplace. It is specifically designed to assist companies with whatever challenges they are experiencing in the workplace. So if you are interested, feel free, of course, to reach out to us. And last but of course not least, we would be introducing Pilates online very soon. The date will be announced, and it is $100 a session TT, 15 US a session USD. So you can bring your bestie and pre-register now for 10% off your first month. And of course, you could WhatsApp 3361809. This also is catered more to persons who are not able with the full body workout sessions, and they would rather do a lot of the slower movements as it relates to workouts. But trust me, do not be fooled. Pilates is no joke. I've done Pilates before. Do not be fooled and think that Pilates is no joke. So for those like myself who would like abs in 2026, feel free to register. Pilates would get you there really quick because it has to do with a lot of core strength. That is really what Pilates is built upon. It has to do with a lot of core strength, and there are some simple moves that would flatten you like a pancake. Trust me. So, we have a lot of exciting things that are coming up. If you cannot attend because, of course, you are out of the country, do not worry. We would be in a country near you very soon. So, just, look out for us. Befitment would be in a country near you very soon. And guys, I really do not want to hear that anybody is in the hospital at the end of 2026. Please, Befitment is here as a guide. Befitment is here giving you the tools so that you can practice. You have the opportunities, you have the health to practice. Do not wait until your health is questionable to now decide, okay, my back is against the wall. Let me go and try to practice now. Please. I am seeing it. I have been observing it recently, and these things are landing somewhere. You might not be affected right now, but they are certainly landing somewhere. And the only place they are landing is on your body. So please, guys, take better care of yourself. Be more mindful. Practice what is required. And even before you start today, you could open the app and take a read. Whatever you might be struggling with, remember the app is there to support you through that as well. And there is a lot of answers to be found by reading that app. A lot of the things that you might be, you have confusion with, you're feeling overwhelmed with, you get a lot of the solutions in the app itself. So, guys, have a wonderful week and see you in March. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right.